Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I am doing another video. I am doing a review of The Outsider by Stephen King. I apologize for any background noise. I tried to wait for a day where people are not mowing their lawns. There's not people in my house, but it can't be helped and I have to move forward. I recently read The Outsider by Stephen King and absolutely loved it. This is now tied with Misery as my favorite Stephen King novel. The Outsider is about the brutal killing of a child, and it is determined that the character Terry Maitland has done it. The police have solid evidence that he did it, fingerprints, blood, so on and so forth, while he also has solid evidence that he was out of town at the time of the murder. So in the story remains the mystery, did he actually do it? And if he didn't do it, what did it? Or how was it accomplished? And who did it if he didn't do it? This was a very compelling book, and I really enjoyed it. On Goodreads, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The only criticism I would really give it is it dragged on a little bit. I listened to most of it on audiobook. I have a physical copy, obviously, but I was also listening to an audiobook version so I could listen to it while doing other things. And I didn't find myself bored in the first 50% of the novel, but I felt like, okay, let's get on with the story, come on. There's just a lot of setup, but at the same time, you need all that setup as the story goes on. Really enjoyed the characters and how well-rounded they were. I also read this one first because I've also gotten the short story collection If It Bleeds, and apparently there are characters from The Outsider in the book If It Bleeds. There's also an HBO special, a miniseries that I bought but haven't yet watched, based off of the Outsider book. It's apparently not as good as the book, which tends to be the case like 90% of the time when you're comparing book to movie adaptations. I can't review the story much else besides without giving spoiler warnings, so spoiler warning full ahead. Like I said, I really enjoyed the characters. I loved Holly. I also loved how Marcy Maitland was written. I also really liked how the characters like connected in a way, like when they realized that the Outsider was taking shape of Claude Bolton, they went and helped Claude Bolton instead of continuing to deny the existence of this outsider. And I really like how Holly Gibney was able to, through her quirkiness and her strangeness, convince all these people that don't believe in the supernatural that there is this supernatural thing that is at work here. It isn't really explained what the outsider technically is, and that is part of the mystery of the novel. So you have this outsider creature that takes the shape of somebody and then does these unspeakable, horrible crimes, kills children, kills people, and is able to frame real living human beings for it with solid evidence, because he can basically shapeshift into the person that he is targeting. And so that's why the police had blood, fingerprints, DNA, like just all over the crime scene of this poor innocent boy that was murdered by this supernatural creature. The one other small critique that I have of this book is I felt like the final ending, or like the final climax when they meet the outsider and they're confronting him, was a little bit rushed. However, it was still creepy. It was still unsettling, especially the part after Holly hits him and there are worms everywhere. Like, oh, that was really unsettling to read. This book has become one of my favorite Stephen King novels because not only do I love his style as a writer, I've read books of his before, and although I was like, oh, that was strange, or that was a little scary or intimidating, I never felt like truly and deeply unsettled. And this book accomplished that. Like, I didn't want to go to sleep with the lights off while I was reading this book. And the person that was reading the audiobook, the voice that he did for the outsider truly made my skin crawl. And it was like, unsettling is the only thing that comes to mind. It's just, ugh, it gave me goosebumps, and I just did not want to keep listening to this outsider tell his creepy stories and convince people to do things with his calm, completely relaxed voice. It was very, very disturbing. So in my opinion, if you want some of Stephen King's best work, read The Outsider. Have the patience to read it. Like, I'm very much a mood reader, and I read this book, started reading it when I truly was not in the mood to read a 500-page book. So I put it down, and it was a really great decision to pick it back up because it's now in my top Stephen King novels. Granted, I've only read 10 or 11 of his books, but it is one of my favorites now. I do have a Stephen King video, where I talk about all the Stephen King books I own, read books and unread books. So if you have any suggestions, go look back at that video, and if you want to say, hey, this is the one you should read next, let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys next time.